Hi, it's Ann Perry, and we're back today talking about what does the 2911 master number really mean. Many of you have expressed an interest in me expanding on my information with regards to the master numbers, so I thought it would be interesting to take a look at what exactly each master number means. With regards to the 11, you might be looking at being a 2911, you could be a 3811, or you could be just simply an 11 life path number. So the purpose of this video is to identify how the 2911 is quite different from the other two. So here we go. Now before we begin, you may want to take a leap over to my video that's called How to Calculate Your Life Path Number Correctly, because some people tuning in might think that they have a master number where in fact they really don't. So it might be a really good idea if you check out that link that I'm showing here, the YouTube link. Go and check that out before you go any further, because it's really important that you understand how to figure out what your life path number is before we go any further. But for those of you who know that you're 2911s, here we go. So the 2911 is what we refer to as a master number. The master numbers are simply called master numbers because they are duplicated. They're duplicate ones, or they could be duplicate 2, or 3, or 4s, so they could be like 11, 22, 33, or possibly 44. Master numbers are only given to people who are very old souls. People who have the 11 energy, they know that they vibrate differently. They know that they're here to do something quite amazing, but they're really not quite sure what it is. So I'm hoping today that by kind of helping to decode the mysteries around the master numbers, it might help you to understand how you're meant to be working with your master number if in fact it is a 2911. So this is given to somebody who is an old soul who has walked the planet many times before. It's a very high vibration, and some people find it very challenging to work with because it does cause you to vibrate just a little differently than everybody else. In fact, you probably feel like you're not even from here half the time. You feel like you've been dropped on this planet and you're really not quite sure what the heck you're supposed to be doing while you're here. It's a very, very interesting vibration. It's very sensitive. You know, people who have the 11 vibration, whether it be the 29, the 38, or just simply the 11, they vibrate differently. You know, they have a 1-800 dial-up connection to the other side, so you're always plugged in. And I'll bet you don't sleep particularly well. Most 11s don't sleep very well because there's this constant feeling of being tuned in at all times. You might even be lying in bed at night saying, wow, you know, if I could just unplug, you know. I always say it's kind of like you know, fluorescent lights, when fluorescent lights are going and they kind of have that little buzz, that noise that's always going all the time, that's kind of somewhat that runs through you. It's like this constant nervous energy. So it's really important that you learn how to work with the energy because it can turn against you, you know, and it can be very defeating if you don't learn how to embrace it and work with it from a positive perspective. The master number 11, whether it's a 29, 38, or just 11, implies that you signed a contract before you incarnated into this lifetime that says, I'm going to be of service to people, I'm going to be of service to mankind, I'm going to find some way to empower the world, I'm going to leave a footprint. But it's such a huge task that many are fearful about it and feel that maybe they'll just never actually get there. If you have an 11 in your birth code somewhere, be it your expression number, your heart's desire, maybe the day that you're born on, your life path number, whatever, somewhere within your core numbers, you need to remember one very important detail, and that is you chose to bring this forward in this lifetime. And it also means that you're more than qualified to handle it. Because you know what? You would not have been allowed to bring forward the 11 energy in this lifetime had you not qualified to be able to handle it in this lifetime. So think of it this way. In previous lifetimes, you were working on your bachelor's degree, okay? And this time around, you've got all the credentials necessary to come back and do your master's degree. And that is why we refer to it as a master number. It is double the intensity of whatever the number is. And in this particular case, we're talking about the number 11. It's a double need for creativity. It's a double need to establish confidence. It's a double need to put yourself out there to be of service to mankind. Now, the master number 2911 is made up of two very unique lessons. And anybody who knows me well knows that when I'm working with numerology, I like to get really deep and down into your birth code. It's not enough for you just to say, oh, I'm a life path number 11. No, I prefer to make sure that you know what kind of an 11 are you? How is it that you're supposed to be accomplishing this big, huge task that you intuitively know you're supposed to be doing, but you don't know how to go about doing it? You don't know how to go about finding what it is you're supposed to be doing. All you know is that you're very sensitive to the fact that you're meant to be doing something amazing. So understanding the lessons that you've come to overcome or learn while you're here will really help you sort of develop a bit of a theme, if you will, as to how you go about living your life purpose. So the 2911 is made up of the 2, the 9, and then that adds up to 11. We don't reduce the 11 because the 11 is a solid energy. It's a master number that we don't reduce. The lessons are indicated by the number vibration that makes up the 11. So in the case of the 29, we need to understand both of the lessons surrounding the 2 energy and the 9 energy. When we're looking at life path numbers, we always have to look to the left of the slash. How did we come up with that number 11? Was it a 38? 3 plus 8 equals 11? Or was it a 29? 2 and 9 are 11? Or was it simply just added up to 11? So we have to look at the 2 and the 9 in this case. 2911s are here to combine their creative energy with higher principles and higher integrity. And they need to find ways to apply this creativity while being of service to other people. That's the key. So let's take a look at the lesson of the 2 energy, which is found in the 2911. The 2 energy says we need to learn how to be more cooperative, a little bit more patient with other people. When you think of the number 1, you think of one person standing alone. When you think of the number 2, you think about 2 people, okay? One of 2 people. So that reminds us that the 2 energy, the lessons around the 2, has everything to do with your potential to be of partnership or of service to someone else. The 2 says that we need to find ways to inspire, to empower, to support, and to heal others. And that, in this particular case, is all about healing mankind. Okay, it's a very gentle energy. It's quite it's a bit of a parallel, really, because the 11 is 2 1s, which are very masculine numbers, right? Whereas the lesson that you're coming to learn in your effort to play out this masculine life path is a 2. And the 2 is a very feminine number. It's a very soft number. It's a gentle number. It's one of partnership. It's asking you to learn to establish boundaries and independence rather than being codependent. It's asking you to be a little bit more independent, to act on your own accord. A lot of people who are 2911s come from a background of abuse. Part of the reason for that is that 2911s sometimes have a hard time saying no, putting up the boundaries, right? Keeping themselves safe. So they want to be cooperative. They want to do the right thing. They want to make everybody happy. So they, in an effort to keep everybody happy, sometimes they overcompensate and they're being overly cooperative. So you have to kind of keep that in balance, which is the other lesson with regards to the 2, is all about establishing balance. So finding creative ways to uplift people is really a big part of this journey of being the 2911. Also learning how to remain open and flexible and approachable. The 11 energy is such a high vibration that sometimes being in the company of other people, particularly negative people, is really very difficult for 11s. They have a really hard time spending time with people that have stronger energy than theirs. So they tend to retreat and get a little rigid and standoffish, maybe a little aloof, unapproachable, that sort of thing. So you have to really work hard at remaining open. Think of it as being a willow tree, rather than being the oak tree. The oak tree is very solid and inflexible. You want to add a little bit of willow in there so that you can kind of, be a little bit more flexible and approachable. Always maintain a focus on partnership and helping other people. Now, the other component to this is that the lesson of the 9 energy found in the 2911. The 9 in itself is a very humanitarian number. It's the number of the healer. It's somebody who has to learn how to forgive, forget, release, and let go. Just be of service. Always be of service. The 9 are notorious fixers. So if you find yourself that you're a 2911, you might find yourself in relationships or attracting relationships that you're trying to fix. right? You're always finding that one person who's broken is like, it's okay, come on over here, I'll take care of you, I'll fix you up, kind of thing. And you come by it with great intentions, but sometimes it doesn't work out quite so well, because ultimately we can't fix anybody. Everybody has the power within themselves to fix. But you can support them, and you can offer them healing energy, if you're in the healing arts. Those are wonderful attributes of the 9. We need to work hard on learning how not to depend on the opinion of others. 9s are notorious for really being hung up about what would people think, what would that person think, and how are they going to react, and that kind of thing. So we need to really work on not being too overly hung up about what other people are going to think. So the opinion of others has a big influence on us. You want to take ownership of your life. 9s tend to play the blame game, and if you've ever done it, you know who you are. We've all done it, but 9s, because they're the fixers, they like to appear like they've got all the answers and everything's under control, and they very much like to be the leader. However, when something doesn't go quite right, they're very quick to point the finger to say, well, if I'd only had a little bit more support from you, or if only the stars and planets had lined up appropriately that day, or if only my boss was better to me, or my partner was better to me, or whatever. It's taking control of your life. It's taking ownership and understanding that, everything that you create in your life is as a result of the choices that you've made, decisions that you've made, that sort of thing. So, you know what? Take responsibility and ownership for everything that you've created in your life. You need to be able to stay in alignment with a larger will towards a higher good or purpose for humanity. That's a pretty big calling, but so is the 11. The energy of the 11 asks you to be challenged to deliver important messages. And in your particular case, you're meant to use your words. You're meant to use your words, be it spoken words or be it written words. It can be in an art form as well. It can be in a creative art form as well. But it's about delivering a message that's going to empower a lot of people. And, a 3811, that 8 that sits there, is more about financial gain, for the betterment of a lot of people. For you, it's not so much about the financial gain. It's about uplifting and supporting and healing humanity. So it's always keeping your eyes focused on the big prize, so to speak, and that would be whatever you can deliver that will inspire a lot of people, empower a lot of people in this world. Work with integrity all the time. Always work with integrity and be true to yourself. And you always want to look for the greater good of all humanity. That needs to be your focus through everything on your life path. So I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to sit with me today and learn a little bit more about the 2911. I'm sorry, 2911. Forgot where I was there for a second. I'd like for you to tune into my website, which is AnnPerryNumerologist.com. I have a great little newsletter that I send out usually once a month or once every couple of months. I have a Facebook page, which you're welcome to tune into as well. And I also have, obviously, my YouTube channel. I'd love it if you would subscribe, because I plan on expanding on this topic and many others. And listen, if you have any questions, or if there's any topic that you'd like for me to cover with regards to numerology, just leave it in a message down below, and I'll be happy to take a look at that. And maybe I'll be covering your question in my next video. Listen, this is my passion. I sure hope it's your passion, and I'm hoping that you're having a fabulous day. Take care. Thanks for tuning in.